we move to our next explorer. His name is Tavpritesh Sethi. Tavpritesh started his scientific journey as a doctor who was interested in knowing why health is so unpredictable and complex. And to answer this question, he pursued a PhD in genomics, and he used computers and mathematics during his PhD, and this was at CSIR IGIT New Delhi. He later went on to apply this knowledge to help doctors make better decisions in ICUs in AIMS New Delhi. He is now an assistant professor at IIIT Delhi, where he pursues exciting and scientific and technological directions in health, and he uses artificial intelligence for this. So where does he get all these exciting ideas? When we asked him, where do you go to get these exciting ideas? He does not go to the Himalayas. He gets his best ideas while playing a musical instrument. And the instrument is called didgeridoo. Is that correct? And if you don't know what that instrument is, maybe you can ask him later. Please welcome Tavpritesh for his talk.
Thank you. And I think the battery just went down, so the Windows is resuming. Meanwhile, I'll just answer the first question before it is even asked. So didgeridoo is a traditional Aboriginal Australian instrument. I am actually carrying it here. I thought I might play it, but I then let go of the idea at the last moment. So while it still comes up, so the theme that I want to pursue today is, since this is an Explorer series, I would like to talk more about you're all at an early career stage. You're all young people wanting to do good things in life. So I would hope to walk through what my journey has been, not as an example, but maybe if some parts inspire you to take up some challenging questions or challenging directions in your life which you may pursue. So the presentation is coming up, and we'll start with it. Flying in this video. And they form a formation called a murmuration. So this is a murmuration, and I think each one of you would notice that these are individual birds, but they create a system. And this system looks like a single mass. And the thing is that most of our bodies, most of our physiology functions, body functions actually work like that. Tens of thousands of genes which work as a murmuration, as an orchestra, coming together. Even the flow of electrical impulses that make our hearts beat, or the flow of electrical impulses that make our brains function, they work like this, right? So this is how actually complex systems function. So how do we start asking questions about complex systems was my motivating factor. So when I started out way back in 2005, I was finishing up my medical training. How do we deal with this? And how do doctors learn to understand and treat complex diseases and complex systems? Number one, they do this through intelligent observations, playful observation. So all good doctors are good observers. Number two, they do this through playful interventions, which is the original meaning of hacking. So doctors are natural hackers because they actually work with playful cleverness with the human operating system, right? So we are pretty good with bringing back people to their normal state of health by using treatments which are hacking. And so essentially, that was my, but when I was finishing up, I was pretty perplexed. I was puzzled because when I was finishing, I was realizing that we do not have enough understanding of human bodies to really treat every disease perfectly. And I wanted to understand that. I wanted to know that. I wanted to explore that. So while going out to explore, you need two legs to walk. And most of the recent professions that are growing, they actually also need two legs. So one is domain specialty. For example, medicine. So when you choose to specialize in something, it can be engineering, it can be medicine, it can be science, that is your domain expertise. But nowadays, it is also important to also understand data with everything that you are doing. That's going to become more and more critical in the coming days. That's what I also wanted to do. I came from a very small town in Amritsar. Nobody actually moved from medicine to research during that point of time, but I was fortunate that genomics in India was starting out at that time. So genomics is nothing but the study of genes, 20,000 or 30,000 genes, 25,000 genes happening and functioning together in an orchestrated way, just as a murmuration. So in genomics, for example, you would need both of these legs of the main specialty as well as working with large data sets. So suddenly mathematics became fun, because without mathematics you cannot look at large data sets. You cannot go one by one looking at these 30,000 genes. You have to use mathematical models. So suddenly it was fun, it was visual, it came alive, and coding also became my passion. So playful coding, which is again the meaning of hacking, became a passion, where I started using coding to understand the biological processes, to understand how our body systems work, and how to create intelligent machines. So what are intelligent machines? I think most of you would think that intelligent machines are robots. That is not true, because intelligent machines are also intelligent, artificial intelligent algorithms. So, learning an algorithm or making a software that has such algorithm is also an intelligent machine, and the field is called machine learning or artificial intelligence. So that's what I did a lot in the past 15 years, of using machine learning and artificial intelligence for health questions to understand them better. Here's another video about what we achieved, and when the video plays, you will see that each of these dots here each of these dots here is a condition, is a disease. So these conditions or diseases do not happen in isolation. They do not happen independent of each other. For example, if you fall sick, there may be other diseases that also may follow. And so that was the idea that we started out with, that we know as doctors that may happen, but can data, can intelligent algorithms show us how that happens? So let me play that video again for you. So you can see our algorithms actually started making connections between these diseases, and then these connections actually started to form communities. Just as we have friends, diseases have friends of each other as well. Some diseases happen together, they form communities, and that's what you see as the network of diseases is forming. You see a strong community being formed here. What did this lead to in our analysis? It led to networks like this. So networks that have diseases and their communities, and these communities can be discovered by using artificial intelligence algorithms and machine learning algorithms, and then we can see how these communities, how these clusters of diseases change as people age. So this was data from all across India. As you can see, it was covered all across India. 2 lakhs patients visiting the OPDs of doctors on a single Indian day were analyzed in this. And what we saw was how these disease clusters or communities changed. So we saw that as people age in India, coughs, colds, respiratory conditions are the most common causes, and their relationships are the most common causes that people go to doctors with. Not something surprising. But then you can see some very interesting things, such as this red line here, which is heart diseases. It becomes thicker, it becomes more important, and as people age, so this, as we go right, this is increasing age. So with increasing age, heart diseases and diabetes, they actually become one. They come together to become one community in this network. And you can see here, female genital complaints, they come together, they merge together with anemia, they stay together, and then they separate out after the reproductive age group. We know that in India, anemia related with menstrual disorders is very common. So our data were really telling us stories. Then we wanted to ask, can we take decisions from this data? What we did was we combined data from LPG consumption in districts of India with these data. Why? Because a lot of women who cook using unclean cooking fuel develop something called chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. In most of the westernized countries, smoking is the major cause, but in countries which are developing, another major cause is actually unclean cooking fuel. What we found was our artificial intelligence algorithms allowed us to ask questions. What would happen if I were to increase LPG provision to the districts of India? How much would COPD fall? So you can see that here is a node which says LPG units, and it is a parent node of rhinitis, which is watery discharge from those, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which is respiratory disease. And we could see that if we increased LPG provision, our rate of COPD would fall almost by half. So this is the kind of analysis, this is the kind of intelligent algorithms that we actually derive using data which could help us make decisions. So we also, while I was finishing up my PhD, we also did something which allowed us to build early detection of asthma using mathematical techniques, and this was featured on MIT Tech Reviews India Young Innovators Award. And then I decided to really apply these methods to a very challenging setting, which is intensive care units, ICUs. That's where the Welcome Trust TBT India Alliance empowered this work by supporting our work at Thames. Now at Thames, I work in the Department of Pediatrics. What we have done is we have digitized the pediatric ICU at Thames. Every baby, every child that gets admitted to ICU, they get plugged onto machines which measure heart rate, pulse rate. You would have seen in movies, there are beeps that happen every second or so. These are big data, routinely collected in the ICU and are routinely lost. They are about a gigabyte of data per day. What we did was we warehoused, we actually digitized this ICU to store these data so that we can start making decisions on the basis of these data. So actually we wrote our own algorithms again, which you can see here, to warehouse these data, to collect these data, and then to present them as insights. What we did was, this was published earlier this year, we were able to predict killer conditions like shock that happen in the ICU. So shock happens when for example, infections happen, sepsis happens, and blood is lost, or there's internal bleeding. In those conditions, what happens is that blood gets diverted from less important organs of the body, like the skin, to more important organs of the body, like the brain, heart, and the lung, etc. So as first-year medical graduates in physiology, we know that skin is cold when shock happens. We use this very simple insight to combine it with artificial intelligence. We use these thermal images, as you can see here, and use artificial intelligence algorithms to calculate gradients of skin temperature. So I'm not sure if you can see, but you can see a box which was learned by computers themselves to find out where the temperature gradients existed, and then use those to build artificial intelligence models to predict up to 12 hours ahead of time which baby is going into shock. So now we are taking these out into community settings in the hands of ASHA workers, but that's still under progress. So like any good project, basically this involved a lot of support from mentors, from my PhD time, my students, and also my friends and family. So what we did in the process also was, going forward, we wanted not just to create insights, but also to deliver these to people who can use it. So for example, other software researchers who would want to use our methods and models. So again, the Welcome Trust TBT India Alliance supported my work at Stanford University for a couple of years. And that was a time when we developed this artificial intelligence platform, which is openly available as an open source software for everyone to use. It's called Wiser. It is based in a programming language called R. What it allows us to do is to make transparent models, because as doctors, we always want to know why. For example, the questions that came up earlier was, why do we get a disease, or why can we actually prevent certain conditions? So those questions which involve this reasoning of why need transparency in the models, so that doctors can go back and look at those models. So what we did was we built models that look at transparent reasoning in the form of these kind of structures which can be seen by doctors. For example, smoking causes lung cancer, or age is a factor, which is a common factor behind two things. So learning these structures directly from data. This allowed us to ask questions about antimicrobial resistance. So Dr. Shankar in the morning was talking about AMR. So at our AIMS pediatric ICU, we are also asking questions about what antibiotics could work in our ICU if one resistance pops up. And then what can we learn about other ICUs, from other ICUs. This also allowed us to ask, it was coincidental that we were asking health questions, but while we were working with large data sets, combining data sets, we also stumbled upon insights that go beyond medicine. And now we realize that medicine and public health are more than just health endeavors, they are also as much as social endeavors. So this paper that was published last year in AAAI, which is the best AI publishing venue, allowed us to ask questions that what would mitigate health inequality. So it is known that in the US, the richest people live up to 10 to 15 years longer than poorest. How can we eliminate this difference? So for that kind of questions, we need transparent models where data can show us where should we be acting upon. And we realized that things such as higher earning females in the household, leading to and higher diversity in the counties, actually led to reduction in this gap in health. So also things like how would we mitigate, how would we reduce things like mothers dying of sepsis when they're pregnant. We found that water and soap availability in the toilets in a district in Odisha was the strongest factor. So the point here being that data combined with intelligent algorithms can and should be derived by doctors so that we can make intelligent insights. So with that, actually we have our mission and vision in the lab, which is to address meaningful, enriching, and discovery-led AI for medicine. We call it MEDI. And with that, I will end and with the final thought that sustainable health needs a lot of interaction and interdisciplinary endeavor. It is not limited to medicine. It needs transparent reasoning in the form of these kind of structures, which can be seen by doctors. For example, smoking causes lung cancer, or age is a factor, which is a common factor behind two things. So learning these structures directly from data. This allowed us to ask questions about antimicrobial resistance. So Dr. Shankar in the morning was talking about AMR. So at our AIMS pediatric ICU, we are also asking questions about what antibiotics could work in our ICU if one resistance pops up. And then what can we learn about other ICUs, from other ICUs. This also allowed us to ask, it was coincidental that we were asking health questions, but while we were working with large data sets, combining data sets, we also stumbled upon insights that go beyond medicine. And now we realize that medicine and public health are more than just health endeavors, they are also as much as social endeavors. So this paper that was published last year in AAAI, which is the best AI publishing venue, allowed us to ask questions that what would mitigate health inequality. So it is known that in the US, the richest people live up to 10 to 15 years longer than poorest. How can we eliminate this difference? So for that kind of questions, we need transparent models where data can show us where should we be acting upon. And we realized that things such as higher earning females in the household, leading to and higher diversity in the counties, actually led to reduction in this gap in health. So also things like how would we mitigate, how would we reduce things like mothers dying of sepsis when they're pregnant. We found that water and soap availability in the toilets in a district in Odisha was the strongest factor. So the point here being that data combined with intelligent algorithms can and should be derived by doctors so that we can make intelligent insights. So with that, actually, we have our mission and vision in the lab, which is to address meaningful, enriching, and discovery-led AI for medicine. We call it MEDI. And with that, I will end and with the final thought that health, sustainable health, needs a lot of interaction and interdisciplinary endeavor. It is not limited to medicine. It needs computer science to be able to achieve the health goals that the world needs to achieve. Thank you. And I'll take questions.
So I wanted to ask, how did you combine those data sets?
20 data sets combined at the district level, which is county level of the US. So we just use, for example, if there's an identifier, for example, district, for city of Jodhpur, right? And these data sets would be residing in multiple different sources. But you can use Jodhpur as a key to combine data sets all across. And then essentially we did some data algorithms which helped us to really fill in some of the missing values while combining those data sets. But if you have some specific question about data combining, how do you combine? The short answer is you need a specific common factor, a common variable. So for example, IIT Jodhpur, right? So you can combine all the data sets across IIT Jodhpur if this information was present, and this is the key variable. We'll expand on that. How do we combine the data sets? I'll take just a minute. So when you combine the data sets, the challenge then becomes how do you derive insights from these combined data sets, right? So a lot of time what happens is we look at correlations. So for example, if I and my friend come together to the same class at the same time, we are correlated with each other, but that does not mean causation. It does not mean that I caused my friend to come to the same class, because he may also have caused me to come, right? So the correlations do not have a direction. Unlike these sorts of models, which actually have a direction, which help us learn what can cause what. So that's the combination. That combining of data is the real key in our models that helps us to ask better questions than just beyond correlations. Yes.
I wanted to ask how AI and ML is used in finding out biomarkers for diseases.
One of the ways that actually helps us beyond conventional statistics, just as I said. So if I am looking at biomarkers, for example, genes, there are 20,000 genes. It's very difficult to find out 1 or 2 or 10 if I use conventional statistical methods. But AI ML techniques such as this or others, what they do is they allow us to reduce something called feature reduction or feature selection, to reduce the number of features that will help us to limit our search to a certain set of biomarkers. So I should not be looking at 30,000 or 25,000 genes, I can be looking at 100 genes for a certain disease, for example, heart disease, let's say. And using those 100 genes, then I can further make models that can predict whether these set of genes can predict heart disease or not. So that's how AI/ML, statistics can also be used to do that, but AI/ML goes a step beyond and actually reducing and then using the complexity of the data set, which is not usually done. So reducing the complexity is the main contribution where AI/ML helps.
There are certain omics techniques called omics techniques. Can you elaborate?
Omics just means, for example, it started with genome. When DNA sequence got launched way back in 2005, the whole human genome was sequenced. Genome just means the full collection of genes. So it is a full ohm of genes, so it's genome. Then came the transcriptomics, right? So the transcriptome means DNA gets converted into RNA. So that the study of RNA is transcriptomics. And then that RNA gets converted to proteins, which are the workhorse of the cell. So that led to proteomics. So when you combine all these together, it leads to omics, right? So and if in the same experiment you're combining multiple omics together, that becomes multi-omics.
Was very visible was your sound knowledge in both mathematics as well as biology.
Thank
but
you.
I would like you to comment on the present scenario of education system in India, wherein a student taking up maths won't take biology or vice versa. So don't you think that this would also adversely impact in the coming years of research and all?
This is the need of addressing this question in whatever we do all the time. So I work at AIMS. A lot of graduates at AIMS, for example, are interested in working with data science, but there are no clear paths. There are no clear education paths. That is what we are trying to disrupt. So, for example, at our institute in New Delhi, what we are trying to establish is a center where both medical and computational knowledge can be imparted. We already have a center for computational biology, where for biology this is happening already. So computer science and biology are happening at the same time, and our next neighbor department is mathematics. So at a certain stage, for example, the bachelor's level, you can take up these courses. And now we are also moving that to medicine, where courses in medicine and engineering, where movement can happen also can take place. Very important question. Thank you.
So one more thing I'd like to know that when you were in our age, like 11th and 12th, had you taken both maths or bio or no?
I had not. I had dreaded maths. So, and I was very happy when I thought my journey with math had been finished when I finished my 10th class. But I loved physics in my 11th and 12th. That actually hooked me on, and my entire presentation, if you see, actually is rooted in physics somewhere or other. So math actually just came alive when I had to go to machine learning, and then it started making sense. Physics was more real world, so that connected.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Apart from this, I just wanted to ask how much time it will take to combine all the data, so any problem or any disease spreading anywhere, and to find out the solution. Like analyzing all these, combining the data, analyzing the solution, then finding the solution and coming to the result.
Right. So this is actually you need on a daily basis. So for example, organizations like the WHO, they actually roll out when Zika was spreading, so they actually roll out insights after analyzing these data on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. But in general, it depends upon the availability of the data. So availability of the data is the major factor that actually leads to delays. And that's where I think digitization of health plays a big role, so that models can be built fast. And once you have the data, combining the data actually also takes a reasonable amount of time. And then models that are faster or slower can be deployed on the basis of how quickly you want to make decisions. It is a learning of models. So for example, some of the deep learning models, learning them can take months. Google, for example, learns models which can take months to years and may even burn up a hole in those on there. But when these are deployed on the setting, then they do not take a long time to churn out the predictions. Then they can just predict. So it depends upon what disease are we solving.
Actually, my question is really about all the incidents, unfortunate incidents that took place in JK Lone Hospital in Kota right now. So we have a lot of data from last 1 month. We are coming across all these problems that a lot of infants have died due to the change in the temperature and all that. So we have a lot of data with us. Okay, we have the major cause of that also, but we are really dependent upon the artificial machines for like incubators and all that, but we are not going for any alternate sources, right? So that is what actually my concern is.
Yeah, so that's a different concern of a more systemic nature.
We are actually dependent, basically more dependent on these artificial machines.
Right.
So is it okay?
So that I'm not sure if but some things like having innovative solutions, for example,
Exactly, that is what my point is.
Yes.
Like we are combining all the data, can't we come up with some other alternative ideas?
Absolutely. Data is not the only way.
Yes.
Sometimes you need physical solutions which can go on the baby.
It depends upon the situation.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that question.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
For the wonderful questions, QP will now introduce our next and final speaker for the paper.